All right, now for our entertainment tonight. It's going to be Jim Stottlemyre on the steel guitar, Joe Wertner on the banjo, Larry Miller on the drums. Oh, I must have got that mixed up. Anyhow, our demonstrators for tonight is going to be Joe Wertner. He's going to be showing you how he grinds or sharpens the skew chisel. And at the same time, at a different station, Jim Stottlemyre is going to be showing you different ways maybe of how he grinds or other people grind bowl gouges. And Larry Miller is going to be showing us how to grind roughing gouges, parting tools. So, what we're going to do, how many people we have here tonight? Did anybody count them? We're going to divide you in 3 parts.
8 apiece.
8 apiece. All right. Somebody's left over. They'll have to come back tomorrow, won't they?
The bigger one I was using today.
Hi, I'm Joe Wertner. Today we're going to go ahead and show you how to sharpen a skew chisel. We're going to do a traditional grind, and we're going to do another type of a grind. Skew chisels. Let's get one here, and let's get this one, the skew chisel. Okay. What we're looking at is 40-degree angle. 20 degrees one side, 20 degrees on the other side. So that's what this is set at, 20 degrees. And if you see, I know the camera can't, but if you can see these here marks I have down here on the table, they're all 70 degrees there. So whenever I put my skew chisel right on there, that'll be right on 70 degrees. And flip it, you just go the other way. So, and you'll see that whenever I'm doing it then.
You got 20 and 20 on the tool itself.
Yeah.
But you have 70 across the face of your...
Yep. 20.
Yep.
20. That's of course total of 40.
Yep.
70 degrees.
Okay, is your angle
Is your angle, yes. Yep. 70 degrees. What I like to do...
You doing the sweep back, Joe?
I'm just doing the traditional right now. For right now.
Right.
Then we'll show you the other one. I'll show you the other one then. What I like to do is go ahead, and I like to take a black magic marker there and just mark my tool there. Then you can go ahead and hit that 70 degrees to see if your angle's good. See, it took that off, you know. So let's go ahead, and one thing I like about these CBN wheels, this is a 180 grit. And like I said, I like to put it right down here at the 70 degree mark and just slide it right across. With the CBN wheels, this is really, that's all you have to do, you know. On the other side, let's get this out of the way. And it's that simple, you know. Then what I like to do is go ahead and take, this is a diamond, this is 600, I happen to have it, and just lay it right there on the bevel, and just file her down. That makes a very, very very, very sharp, as you can feel. Yeah, actually Lee should have maybe been over here, but I guess we're doing okay. Okay.
Do it again, I'll come around there.
Well, you know, they'll be coming again. Yeah, it might be. You know. One thing I'd like to show you about that though, whenever you're done passing it around there. Yep. One thing. What were you saying? Oh, you're saying about somebody else? Okay. Talk about somebody else, not me. All right. Good. Good. Okay. Now you might ask, how much of a bevel do we get here? Okay. You take the thickness of your steel, which this is a 1/4 inch, and it's 1.5 times the 1/4 inch. It's how much the bevel should be approximately. 1/4 inch, half of a 1/4 inch. Can you follow me? 1.5. Half of a 1/4 inch is 1/8. That's 2/8 the 1/4 inch. 1/8 of the half of it, so that's 3/8. So this from here to here, to here will be 3/8 of an inch. You follow? Any questions? So that's what it should be. One thing, doesn't have to do anything with a grinder, but I've mentioned this before. See, you see how square this is? That's going to give you problems. Whenever you're going on your tool rest and you're going along, I like to round mine off. You just take it on a 6-inch stationary belt sander, and I just go around like this while the belt sander's going, and I chamfer this edge too like that, because it makes it really nice. So whenever you're going along on your tool rest, then it doesn't catch on anything. And you can see what I'm doing here. Maybe, you know, they all have it over here.
That's part of the mistakes I've made.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Square
Yes.
into your rest on occasion.
You want to get
and
rid.
It gives you that chatter.
Yeah. Do you have, Nick? Do you have a bench grinder or something?
Yeah.
That you, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I got 2 now.
Oh, 2. Wow.
Well, I
Okay.
got the one for the shop, and then I have one just for sharpening the tools now.
Okay. Now I'm going to set this at 70 degrees, and this is. I think this is yours, Nick, isn't it?
Yep.
And of course, with that black, yeah.
Bit of grinding to do.
Right, right. So we'd be doing that over here. Luckily, I happen to set this, yeah. But I happen to know about 70 degrees. So, yeah, this is an 80-degree angle there. Let's see here. Let's get this back here. There we go. And we'll bring it over here this side. You know, I'm feeling, even that much, I'm still feeling this catching kind of. You know, just kind of a catch, but
It's been annoying.
yeah. What was you saying?
Gonna bring some fly spray the next time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of flies in there. We had the door open to bring all this stuff in. I had to bring the chairs in and all. And one more time here. One thing nice about this slow speed grinder is it doesn't make this as hot. A little bit more, so you can hold on to it. Joe.
What's the RPM on that, Joe?
Now that's, well, this is 1725, but I can get it up to 3450, but I like to keep it low speed, so, you know. So anyway, of course, then you, oh yeah, there's one more thing I should tell you. You go ahead and sharpen this right along the bevel, bring it down, flip it around, bevel, then do this side, then do this side. There's 4 sides to a skew chisel. Because you also, when you do a skew chisel, you know, you want to bring this long point down or even use that end. But feel how that is, Nick? Yeah, you can shave with that. Yep, don't cut yourself. Don't sue me now. Yes, please do. You still do this at a 20-degree angle. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's go do this once. Okay. Now, Nick, this is what we're going to do straight ahead. Or actually, I have to ruin this. Actually, I got to cut it down. You know. The problem is, if I was at my home, I do this on a regular wheel because I have a 36-inch wheel on that, 36-inch grinding wheel, grit wheel. Yeah, yeah. So I've got to ruin this. And someday you'll get it back nice and sharp. He knows where I live. Now what I do is I come across here and then I just pivot it. Now this here builds up a lot of heat. But see, you can start. You see where we're starting to get that, yeah. Have any of you guys ever used this type? Nobody? Okay.
What's the advantage?
The advantage is, okay, one of the advantages is if you hit this, you know, do you know what'll happen whenever you hit that in? Okay, you know, you're smiling, it'll really catch, okay? If you hit this, it'll also catch, okay? But it's more out of your way. Yeah, it's you know, it's much more what do you want to call it? Friendly user, if you want to call it that. If you want to take a plunge cut to grind down for your wood turning, this is another thing that's straight ahead, and you can just get in there and you can just plow that in there. It's and I think sometimes it's psychological. It's like, you know, with that sharp edge there. Yeah, you should try it sometime. Yeah. Oh yeah, anytime. I'm wondering. Yes. Yeah. Yep. So let's just keep kind of doing it. This is still hot. Yeah, Nick, I'll probably end up taking this home. Unless you want to use it that way.
No.
Get yourself some butter. But yeah. Let's just keep doing. What do you want to do with this one? Oh no, that's rods. That's right. That's rods. We'll get that later. Where's your other one? Didn't you have 3?
No, I had 2.
Oh,
I
okay.
had 2 skews. I gave you both of them.
Okay,
You
good.
got one in my bucket now, so that's the one in your hand.
Good, good. Whoa, that's hot.
You took a lot of material off.
See, what I would, yeah, and of course you dip it in water. I mean, you know, I don't really do that much. What I do is I'll lay it on a metal surface and I'll be doing something else, go back to it and grab it, and, you know, do that. Because your grandfather got you in the skew chisel using it? Okay, you'll have to see me. Come to my place, okay? You know where I live, right? Okay, good. Yep, have your dad bring you over and we'll get you started on a skew chisel. It's a good one to learn, really it is. Yeah. Excuse me?
Hard.
Yeah, I hate to use that word, but yes, it's some people want to say scary, and but you know what? When you start out with it, I think you get better with your other tools once you learn how to use it. Yeah, really. You guys were at the meeting when I showed you how to use it, right? Oh wow, I didn't say. What's that? Is that skew chisels or are they?
Negative rake scraper.
Oh wow,
I don't know if that's part of the demo tonight.
That's not part of it, but I do that a lot. I really like the negative rake scraper. Really like it. It does a good job.
First time, show them how to sharpen.
Excuse me?
First time, show us how to sharpen.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Or you guys could come to my shop. I mean, really, seriously, that's good. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're ready. Cause there's no way I'm going to be able to. Huh?
Just put that off to the side.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to work on it little by little. I don't know who else brought or whatever. Yep.
Somebody wants to see that.
Yeah.
Demonstrated.
As a matter of fact, that's one of the demonstrations I was going to do, but Nelson asked me to go ahead and do this, and you know. But negative rake scrapers, they're great. Has your grandfather got you into negative rake scraper yet? No. You got to get him on the ball here, huh? Got this nice shop, got a nice lathe, and he's got nice grinders. I got to pick on Sam.
Larry Miller. I'm going to be demonstrating sharpening a roughing spindle gouge and parting tool. This is really, as I was saying, this is a spindle gouge in a sense that you don't use these on end grain. They don't work good on end grain. They work good on long grain. They're very, very simple to sharpen. But when you're doing it, when you're sharpening one of these for the first time, what I like to do, the first time, it's a new tool, and I'm sharpening it for the first time. And I'm only ever going to do this one time. But I make the bevel here black with a Sharpie. You don't have to go all the way down.
Now I may need more. 70 degrees. So let's grab them in there. And then I just take that right.
Now my method, or my philosophy of sharpening turning tools is different from most people. Most people will say, well, you've got to have a 45-degree angle, or you've got to have a 50-degree angle. I have never in my life measured an angle. I have no idea what angle I am sharpening the tool at. What is, however, vitally important is that you be able to sharpen it the same way every time. Repeatability. You sharpen a tool and you use that tool and you learn how that tool works. Okay? Then it is important that you always sharpen it the same way. every time. So what I do is I have a similar grinder, although I don't have a variable speed grinder. I have a single speed Delta, and I also have the 1.5 inch wheels. So I have a tendency to run off of these narrow wheels. You put it on and you take a look at the side and you adjust it until you can't see light.
And the other thing is, what I always found is round this over. And then you want this around here.
Okay. Then I turn the light off. I have my grinders in the darkest place in my shop, and I don't have any light overhead at where my grinders are, because I want to be able to see the sparks coming over the edge of the tool. I usually grind the wings first on. This is an interesting grinder. This is a very interesting grinder. So I sharpen that wing, and I see sparks coming over the edge. I sharpen this wing. I see sparks coming over the edge, and I take a look at my black mark and see how I'm doing. That side's perfect. If you're going to maintain this bevel. So this is not my tool. An interesting grinder. It speeds up when I put a little pressure on it. Okay, now I have the wing sharpened, and I'm satisfied with how they look. Now I'll sharpen the rest of the tool by simply rolling it. And all the time I'm doing this, I'm watching that edge right there. And I can see the sparks coming over, and I can tell what part of this tool is sharp and is yet to be sharpened. Now, if you look down on that from above, you will see that there is an area here that isn't quite sharp. It's flat and dull looking, okay? This edge over here is sharp. So this was a little either out or round, or maybe was sharpened on a different grinder, because even with these systems, every one is a little different. Even though it's set up the proper way, 6.5 inches from the center of the hub to the bottom, and this right dead in the center of the wheel. I mean, it's a little hard to get that exactly. Okay, I'm going to fix this up. There's one spot where they're not.
Yeah, right there.
Right there, you see the sparks aren't coming over the edge.
Yeah. See the reflection?
It's getting awful close.
Yeah, I think you got it that time. This thing got a
Little bit over on this side, yep. Close enough for government work. Now, you may or may not do this. You don't have to do this. But I always have a hone in my pocket. And generally, I don't go to the grind. Like I was telling the other group, a parting tool. I might take a parting tool and actually sharpen it every week or 10 days. In between, I hone, because you can't ever get anything sharper than you can by honing. And honing this is simply a matter of rubbing that edge rubbing that edge on a diamond stone. Now, when I did that, I created a little bit of a burr, and I don't want that on there. I got to take that burr off. With this tool, I don't want a burr.
You know, it doesn't matter if there's a gap in there or not. Back there, some people even do this.
That is basically as sharp as it needs to be. That's the roughing gouge. Any question? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but because when I set it back up, I always set it. First of all, I'm using my own, my own grinder, and I always take a sight down the side and make sure that the bevel is flat on there. Because now with this grinder, I can sharpen that bevel every time. I can make that bevel, that angle, that degree of sharpness every time because I got it ground away. Now, that's not my roughing gouge. So whoever's roughing gouge it is, they may very well have to redo entirely what I did because of the way they sharpened. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The key to sharpening, in my opinion, is repeatability. Being able to sharpen a tool the same way every time. I don't care if you sharpen it 40 degrees, 50 degrees, 60 degrees, 45 degrees, I don't care. As long as you can do it the same way every time and it works for you. The parting tool is very simple. First of all, I'm not gonna do that one. I'm gonna do the one I did before. I don't hollow grind my parting tools, but then I'm fortunate enough to have a belt grinder also, and it's a belt grinder made for sharpening tools. It's a Sorby Pro Edge, and so that all of my skews, parting tools, beading tools, bedans, any tool of that nature, I sharpen that way, straight. I do not hollow grind it. For me, it is particularly important on the skew. Now, Joe and I keep going roundabout. Joe hollow grinds his skews, and they work very well for him. I mean, he does beautiful work with the skew. I don't. I grind my skews flat like this. The reason I do is, first of all, I can approach the wood at a lower angle and get the bevel on the wood, and I can keep more bevel on the wood with it ground like that. But most everybody doesn't have a belt grinder, and there's no need to have one. I sharpen the parting tool exactly the same way as I sharpened that, basically. I get this thing to stop. That's true. These diamond wheels, they just run forever. Yeah. You turn them off and they just keep running and running and running. In fact, I have a little block of wood, and
I do too.
I don't have these on my diamond wheel, and I can stick it in there. I can stick it in there. These are probably the safest wheels that you can get.
I just saw a demonstration on these CBN wheels.
Yeah.
They said the only reason these are on there is because the old wheels, carburetor and them wheels with it, come apart.
Oh yeah.
You don't need them, but
oh
that's what he said.
No, you don't, because if you have a regular wheel, a aluminum oxide or whatever wheel, every time you use that, at least the first time each day you use it, you should do that.
Yeah.
And if it has a flat sound, if it doesn't ring, don't use it. I saw a fellow take a piece of a wheel in the head here, needed about 4 hours of surgery to get him back into shape. This tool is sharpened exactly the same way. Now I've already sharpened this tool, so it will be easy Now I have to put that on there, you see, so I can't see any light coming through, and lock it. With the parting tool, you want to keep this as flat as possible for normal parting. Now I also have parting tools that I intentionally grind on the skew, and I use those to cut dovetails and things like that on tenons and in recesses and stuff. This very same thing applies. If you have a grinder that racks up, don't start using it until, and I love this grinder, it goes up almost to full speed and then backs down. I have it on the slowest speed it will go, which is interesting. Same thing, try and line this up straight. Now, with these systems, that is sometimes a challenge. You're not always in the center of the wheel, because while these systems are supposed to be set up that this is dead center with this, it's pretty hard to get them that way exactly. Also, I have mine set up, they're already set up for a 1-inch wheel. Then I put an 1.5 CBN wheel on there, so obvious it's not in the center. But I don't care. I just grind the tool off to the side. Same thing, very light touch, and try to keep it straight. Now there's not as much weight in this tool, so it takes a little more control to keep it right. And I grind it and I look at it, and when you look at it, you can see if it's sharp all the way out to the end. This is a Benjamin Best tool, which means it is M2. It's not going to make a lot of, you're not going to see a lot of sparking because it's a fairly soft steel. But I can tell by looking out at that edge, I can tell if there are any flat spots there or if I actually have it sharp. There you saw them coming over, but I knocked it out of square, so I have to try and square it up again. This is the most interesting grinder I've ever used. You put a little pressure on it, it speeds up. Very interesting. Very interesting. Here it's speeding up. Now it's going to slow down. Okay, that's almost sharp. There's just one little spot right in that corner. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look down on there, you're going to see that corner right up there doesn't look the same as the rest of the tool. It's hard to see. If you look down on it this way, you can see the spot that isn't sharp. I might not be addressing that quite. Okay, now we have to do the other side. I assume this is Nelson's grinder. I don't know whose grinder it is for sure. I must ask him about it because I'm curious. It doesn't, does it speed? It doesn't speed up like that when you put pressure on it, does it?
Mine never did.
I don't know that it hurts anything, but it sure grinds away tool. Now, with parting tools, skews, beating tools, bedans, all kinds of tools that are shaped thus, I always hone. Always. And I hone these with 2 grits. I have a trend stone here, diamond, that has 300 and 600. And yeah, I have one of those in my pocket too. Here's what you do. You put the heel against the stone and you lay the stone down so that it's touching the edge, and you simply rub it gently, gently. You're not trying to grind metal away. You're trying to sharpen the metal that is already there. And I do that on both sides, gently. Okay, and then I do it with 600, lightly. And then I check it because I don't want a burr. Not on here. That tool is probably as sharp as you can get it. Or at least it's as sharp as I can get it. I very possibly there's people that are able to sharpen more than me, but I sharpen as little as possible because I don't want to spend my time at the grinder. I want to spend my time at the lathe. That's why I have this grinder and these expensive jigs, because I want to do it as quick as possible. I was told once, real wood turners grind by hand. Real wood turners grind by hand. They use a platform and they sight it and they grind by hand and so on. Well, yeah, okay. I know wood turners, very, very good wood turners who sharpen that way. But I don't want to they spend twice as long sharpening a tool as I do using the Wolverine system. Now this is also part of the Wolverine system. If you're spindle gouges and bowl gouges, you use one of these and you get a whole, with this you get a whole lot of literature that tells you where to set this arm on here to get different angles. I threw all that away. My arm isn't set where this one is, and I'm not going to change this one because it's not mine, but I set it exactly, the front of the leg is exactly centered in the second notch, and then I put it on there. I put some Loctite on there. I put the thumb screw on. I get on it, with the pump handle pliers, and it never changes. Whether I'm sharpening a bowl gouge, a spindle gouge, either one, 3/8, ½ inch, 5/8, whatever I'm sharpening, it is always at that angle. The important thing is the distance between here and the end of the tool. That has to always be the same. And I'm not supposed to be doing this. Somebody else is supposed to be telling you this in one of the other demos, but I'm just simply telling you how I do it. These things are worth, well, you got to pay about $100 for one of these, and they're worth every penny of it if you want to spend your time turning wood instead of sharpening your tools. It's worth every penny of it. Any questions?
This one here. I noticed
it's long.
But you got a little bit of an angle this way.
Yeah.
And that's for when you do the inside of your.
Yes. This is not mine, but that's what I do.
That's what I do too.
I put a little bit of a skew on there, and then I can if I.
Hi, I'm Jim Stottlemyre. We're going to be sharpening bowl gouges tonight. For the last probably 20 years or so, I've used my shop. I use wet grinding for finish sharpening most of my tools. Started out with a Grizzly, a cheap Grizzly. I think it was $39 Grizzly sharpener. which I still have. It still works. But I upgraded to this Tormek. The Grizzly did not have provisions for this toolbar, and it just wasn't the same quality of machine as a Tormek. So I use this Tormek for just about all my sharpening for bowl gouges and spindle gouges. It's a slow speed machine. I'm not sure what the speed is there, maybe 30 RPM, but and it's also wet, so it's practically, well, I don't know if practically is a good word. I don't know if it's possible to burn your tool edge on it. You know, wet and slow like that, it's great. And just take a little material off at a time, tools last forever. Negative is if we're going to reshape a tool, which this evening I've already reshaped a couple, and I'm going to reshape this one. It is slow. This is 1,000, 1,500 grit wheel, depending on how you dress it. And we'd be here all night if I was going to reshape it. This is one of Nelson's gouges, and it started out with a very blunt end, and we're going to reshape it to even more of a swept back profile. A Tormek provides a handbook with their grinders, and you got all the information in here about settings for all your various tools. I also got a chart when I went to a class with Glenn Lucas. Some of you guys might recognize that name, where he developed sharpening profiles he likes. I don't think that the exact angle is critical. The angle might affect how you hold your tool, what angle you hold your tool, but it's except for certain instances like when you're going across the bottom of a bowl where you need a very flat angle, it's not the absolute end of the world. Some turners will tell you that you sharpen them to this angle and that's the only angle that's right, and everybody else is wrong, and if it's not a 40-40 grind, you might as well not even be turning. Well, there's a lot of good turners use other angles. This is the holder for the tool, and the first thing we're going to do though is come over here to the CBN wheel, and I'm going to put the tool upside down on this wheel, and I'm going to get the profile that I want. Okay, now I've got the profile that I was looking at, but if you look at these edges here, you can see we got probably close to 1/16 of an inch of flat, so it's not going to cut very well. It's not sharp. What I'm going to do next is put it in the holder, and I'm going to use this wheel, and I'm going to grind the outside down until we get a sharp edge on the inside.
The grinder is doing the work.
So I've got this tool set up to Glenn's instructions here. It's got a jig setting, which is the angle that this rod is, and it's got a distance for the bar to the wheel, which we set using this tool. I'll show you how that works here. If this is, yeah, it's off. You slide that onto the bar, you put it up against the wheel, and both, it touches at two spots. Can you see that, Lester? It looks like it's pretty close. So when we got all that set, the protrusion set with the gauge, we make sure it's tight, slide it on here, and I'm just going to take, like I said, take that flat off of there. Let it get up to speed. Okay. So get the other side. And once I get it to where you don't see a reflection, I know she's sharp. Okay.
And now,
Well, Nelson just came back. Now he can see what I did to his tool. Got just a little bit of a shiny spot right in here. I'm going to touch that just a little bit more. But when you look at the tool, you shouldn't see a reflection because a sharp edge does not reflect light. Okay, that looks good.
looks like that nose needs to be done a little bit. Lessens your chance.
Now the nice thing about Tormek, these holders, you can release this knob and it allows your tool to slide forward. Now the rotation is going the wrong way, but this lets me put a secondary bevel on here. And that secondary bevel will allow you to go around the inside of a bowl a little better. The longer that straight edge is, it limits how much you can come around the corner. So we got fairly decent profile on there. I hope Nelson approves. That's this one is yours. So we're going to come over to this machine and just sharpen it up now. Whoops. Put this back in the right position. And since I've got these all set the same distance from the wheel, it's just going to... Okay. And that's about all it's to reshaping a tool with this system. Some of the guys, I mean, I imagine it'd be exactly the same with a Wolverine system. But Wolverine's probably the more popular than the Tormek. They're both good systems. There are still people that think you can't, if you can't sharpen by hand, you shouldn't be turning wood. Well, my tools probably last longer than theirs.
There's I'll tell you something, all these sharpeners that we have, they're not automatic. You don't just stick the tool in there. You still have to know what you're doing.
Right.
It needs a little bit more attention. Yeah. Right down on the left-hand side.
You want to stand back here, John?
No, go ahead. You can do it.
I'm passing this around right now.
With these.
Yeah, there's a couple. Nelson's right. You can't just put it on here and expect it to come out perfect every time. But at least you got a starting point.
I think some people think if they buy these fancy jigs that we have, that then all of a sudden that's just automatic, but it's not.
No, it does give you a better chance at hitting the right grind. And there are still people that sharpen by hand, and I can show you some hand sharpening, and then we'll dress this up after I mess it up with the hand sharpening.
I find that this is real hard to do by hand. That's real hard to do by hand.
Okay.
It can be done on scene there, yeah.
Okay, there's two.
No, just doing this whole Ellsworth grind kind of routine.
There's two ways to do it by hand, and unfortunately this Tormek wheel is rotating in the wrong direction for the way I like to do it. If you have if you have a grinder, you need it to be coming towards you with a tool rest. One way by hand is you set this tool rest up for the right angle, and then you roll your tool like this to both left and right. That's one way. That's the way I normally did when I was doing it by hand with that grizzly. The other way is you still have your tool rest here. You set your angle, touch it to your angle, and you roll it up the wheel like that. And you can get a decent grind that way. You can tell by the striations. I've ground that back over the whole. Looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you can do okay by hand. But I still prefer the jig. Most of my bowl gouges at home are set up to this grind of Lucas's that he's got in the red. It's 56-degree bevel, and I have one of my jigs. I don't change it. I leave it to that setting all the time. This one here, I'll adjust to whatever I need, and we'll get this back to where maybe if Nelson is so inclined. Okay, got a little bit here, just a little bit of a dip on the one side I'm going to take out. Nelson, give this a try.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to
Let me see if it works.
We're going to try that on the piece of wood Nelson has over here, and it's a little small for the job he's doing, but I think it'll work fine.
I guess I'm being leaving. Didn't grind it.
He was trying to get a. Maybe he's got it there.
Sorry. Curled up here. And if you have it straight. We have to come back and touch that side. Really turn it over and do exactly the same thing.
Putting off some very nice tips, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't take tips.
It's too small for a tip angle.
Yeah,
That's sharp.
that's telling you that's sharp.
That was mine, right?
That was yours, and you can have that green tape for free. So now we're open to questions. Anybody have any good questions or any bad questions, Bill?
I've never set my toy back up, but I don't know that I have that tool right there.
This one? Yeah, this one's pretty critical if you're going to use
Well, I can see
one of
where
these.
it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that I have for the double bevel. The one where you changed here. Yes. Well,
this-
either one of them you can change for a double
This one
bevel.
does
Is
this.
that right?
Yeah, either one you can do that. This is a newer model. If you look at these side by side, you can see that the newer one is wider. You can fit a bigger gouge in it, and the newer one has a thumb wheel instead of an Allen screw.
Okay.
So it makes it a lot easier to adjust. And they did one other thing with the newer one. So in case you're buying one, be sure to get the new one. They've made that just a little shorter. What was happening with this older one is when you swung your gouge this way, the tool handle would hit this.
Oh, okay.
And the only solution was to put a little bushing on this side so the tool handle hit that to keep it even. Now you can take it the whole way down till it touches your rod.
You see, I have a Tormac, and I thought that I had all the attachments to it, but I bought it probably 10 years ago. And I don't remember that I have that adjustment at the bottom.
Oh, I've never seen one without, but it's possible.
Okay. And I never saw anybody use one of those. But like I say, I'm almost positive I do not have that tool right there.
Yeah.
And like you say, I can see where it's extremely critical. I'd consider that.
And then this I bought one of these. This is their rig to hook up to a regular bench grinder.
Yes.
And all you really need is this spot. You don't need the little bracket and everything down here. You need this aluminum piece right here.
Yeah.
So you can save yourself some money. If you want to hook it up to a bench grinder, just buy that, put a stack of plywood under, and you're ready to go.
Okay, that makes sense. And just loosen these and pull it out.
Yeah. If I was to go to one of these that some of these require use on the second, the other hole, and just loosen this up, slide it in till it's touching, and you've got a fine adjustment here. It's just it looks like I'm a little bit too close, so I'll back it up just a little bit. Now I could use that fine adjustment maybe. A little bit more. I'll get it eventually here. John, you're... There she is. So now it's perfect distance. And what I was looking at was these two rollers touch the wheel, and I marked mine with a little bit of red so I could see them turn. Now this is set up for any of these that call for it in the B position.
Okay.
Any more questions, guys?
How does that compare with
several of these.
doing that same tool on this 350 wheel?
It's a little smoother. I like it better, and there is a slight difference in the radius of the wheel too. You can see these are 8 and that's a 10.
Yes.
So it does give you a little bit of difference in the radius, but for most practical purposes, if you didn't have the Tormac and you just used this, I think you'd be fine.
Okay, like I say, I'm sure that mine's a 320, I believe. Now they have the 350. And actually they have up to, I think, 1200 now.
I think so, yeah. And you can buy a CBN wheel for this.
Yes, I saw that. So what would be the advantage of that other than faster cutting?
Well, you don't have to dress it.
Oh, that's right.
And this one here, I don't know, every maybe month or so, I'll true it. And to true it, I just use one of those T-handled diamond wheels. They do make an attachment that goes on here with a screw feed that feeds a diamond across there. It makes it perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know how critical perfect is to me. I just make it flat. And you can see it's fairly flat there. And it's good. I do not use the leather end of it.
I never saw that.
Some people do. I might use it for hand chisels or plane chisels, but for the lathe tools, I don't.
Thank you all. Good job.
Okay? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
You have a large shirt. Let's see.